Dear students, we can continue with Module 2. Today we are completing Module 2. In our Part 2 session, we are studying decision making, its meaning, definition, features, importance, types of decisions, steps in rational decision making, difficulties in decision making, and about decision tree. First of all, we can study the meaning of decision making. Decision making is an indispensable process, and a manager's life is filled making decisions after decisions. The decisions of managers give form and direction to organizational functions. I have given an easy definition for decision making. Decision making is the selection based on some criteria from two or more possible alternatives. Features of decision making. This is a sure question for your section A, that is 2 marks question. It's a human process. Human process, in a sense, it's a mental process, and also it's a intellectual process, because human beings are using their mind. They have to think carefully, and they have to decide. So it's a human process which requires intellect. A person has to exercise his intellect for evaluating and selecting the alternatives. Second one, it is a process of selection. As I said, a decision is an act of choice which involves a lot of alternatives, and decision making's main aim is to select the best alternative. Third point, it is always a goal-oriented process. Decision making is always aimed at achieving the objectives or goals of the organization. Fourth point, it's a continuous process. Actually, there are a lot of points in your text, but you need to study only 4 points, because it will be asked for a 2 marks question only. What are the features of decision making? So it's a continuous process. In a sense, managers have to take a series of decisions, and this job is perpetually a decision making exercise. So it's a continuous process. Now we can study the importance of decision making. First one, better utilization of resources. Decision making helps to utilize the available resources, namely the 6 M's: men, money, materials, machines, methods, and markets. The manager has to take correct decisions for all the 6 M's, which will result in better utilization of these resources. Second point, facing problems and challenges. Decision making helps the organization to face and tackle new problems and challenges. Quick and correct decisions help to solve problems and to accept new challenges. Third, business growth. Quick and correct decision making results in better utilization of resources. It helps the organization to face new problems and challenges. Also, it helps to achieve its objectives. All this results in quick business growth. Fourth point is achieving objectives. Rational decisions help the organization to achieve all its objectives quickly. That is because rational decisions are made after analyzing and evaluating all the alternatives. Fifth point, increases efficiency. Rational decisions help to increase efficiency. Efficiency is the relation between returns and cost. If the returns are high and the cost is low, then there is efficiency, and vice versa. Rational decisions result in higher returns at low cost. Next point is facilitates innovation. Rational decisions facilitate innovation. This is because it involves helping to develop new ideas, new products, new process, etc. This results in innovation. The last point motivates employees. Rational decision results in motivation for the employees. This is because employees are motivated to implement rational resources, and this will create high profits in the organization. As a result, the employees will get financial and non-financial benefits. That's how it motivates the employees. Next, we can study the types of decisions. There are 5 types, and these are again asked for your section 2 and section B and section A. What is a programmed and non-programmed decision? Routine and strategic decision, organizational and personal decisions, individual and group decisions, administrative and operational decisions. First of all, I will tell you what is a program decision. Program decisions are routine and repetitive in nature. These decisions deal with common and frequently occurring problems in an organization. For example, buying behavior of consumers, sanctioning of different types of leave to the employees, salary increment, purchasing decisions, etc., are some of the examples for programmed decisions. Non-programmed decisions are not routine or common in nature. These are related to exceptional situations in which guidelines or routine management is not set. For example, problems arising from a decline in market share, increasing competition in business environment. These are all examples for non-programmed decisions. Now we can study routine and strategic decisions. Routine decisions are also known as operating decisions or tactical decisions. They involve short-term commitments. They have minor impact on the future of the organization and are of repetitive in nature. These decisions are generally made at lower levels of management and are related to day-to-day operations of business. Strategic decisions, or another name is policy decision, they involve long-term commitments and large investments. They have a permanent influence on the future of the organization. These are the basic decisions dealing with the unique problems and policy issues. Next, we can study organizational and personal decisions. Organizational decisions are made by managers in their official capacity. They are made to further the interest of the organization. They affect the functioning of the organization. Organizational decisions are made on rationality, judgment, and experience, and these are delegated to lower levels. Personal decisions are made by managers as individuals and not on behalf of the organization. They cannot be delegated. For example, decisions to marry, to buy a house, these are all personal decisions which affect the personal life of a manager. They may also affect the organization directly or indirectly. Next comes individual and group decisions. Individual decisions are taken by a single individual. They are concerned mainly with routine problems for which broad policies are available. Group decisions are those decisions taken by a group of persons constituted for this purpose. For example, the board of directors or a committee may take such decisions. Next is administrative and operational decisions. Administrative decisions are policy decisions made at the administrative level. Operational decisions are those decisions taken by the lower level management for executing the policies. So these are the questions which are asked for your section A for 2 marks. What is the difference between individual and group decision, or what is the strategic decision, etc. That will be the type of questions asked. Now we can study the steps in rational decision making. It's a very important essay question. You have to write this in detail. And first of all, you have to know what is rational decision making. Rational decision making is a process in which decision makers go through a set of steps and processes and choose the best solution to a problem. These decisions are based on data analysis and logic, eliminating intuition and subjectivity. Now we can study the steps. First one is identifying the problem. Second one, analyzing the problem. Then comes developing alternatives, evaluating the alternatives, selecting the best alternative, conversion of decision into action, and control. Identifying the problem, which means recognizing the problem. First of all, the manager should define and formulate the problem very clearly and completely. Defining the problem involves identifying the critical factors so that such factors can be restricted by the manager and finding out whether there are any limiting factors to solve this problem. For this purpose, the manager should refer the objectives, rules, policies, etc. of the business. Second one is analyzing the problem. After the problem is defined, the next step in the process of decision making is analyzing the problem. It involves the collection and classification of as many facts as possible. Collection of relevant and accurate data is essential because the quality of decision will depend upon the quality of data used. Third step, developing alternatives. Majority course of action will have alternatives. Sound decision necessitates the consideration of all alternatives. So this step involves the identification of limiting factors because it will enable the manager to search for those alternatives which will overcome the limiting factors. Fourth step is evaluating the alternatives. After having developed the appropriate alternatives, the next step is to evaluate them so as to choose the best one. And while selecting this best alternative, while evaluating, they have to consider both quantitative factors which are measurable, for example, fixed cost, operation cost, etc., and qualitative factors which are not measurable. They are intangible factors just like labor relations, change in technology, etc. So both qualitative and quantitative factors are to be considered while evaluating the alternatives to choose the best one. Next is the selection of the best alternative. After evaluation of various alternatives, the next step is to decide the best alternative, and the manager should take into account the economy, the risk factors, the limitation of resources, feasibility of its implementations, etc., at the time of deciding the best course of action. Sixth step involves the conversion of decision into action. If the decision taken remains in the paper, there is no meaning in taking decisions. So once a decision is made, it should be converted into action. That is, it should be implemented, and it can be implemented through communicating the decisions to all the employees, also by assigning the responsibility of carrying out the decisions to certain employees, developing the procedure for purpose of executing the decision, and developing feedback mechanisms to check on the progress of implementation of the decision. Seventh point is control. Once the decision is implemented, the next step is controlling. The term controlling involves comparing the actuals with the expected results, finding out if any deviations are there, analyze the reason for the deviations, and take necessary steps to rectify the deviations if necessary. So these are the very important steps, and it is very important for your exam. Now we can study the difficulties in decision making. This is a 5 marks question. That is a sure question in section B. You have to study this very well. First one is soundness of decisions. The decisions taken by the management should be of sound one. If the decisions taken are not sound, then it will be wasteful. So the soundness of decisions refers to the quality and reliability. So if the decisions are not sound, there will be a waste of effort and both funds also. Second one, timing of decisions. Another problem faced is timing of decision. If not properly timed, there is no use of taking a decision. Third one is environment. The physical and psychological environment have their influence on decision making. If the environment is satisfactory, then there will be both cooperation and proper understanding among the members. Next is effective communication. Effective communication of the decision is another important administrative problem of the management. Decisions taken should be clear, simple, and unambiguous or without any confusion. Next is expressing opinions. All members of an organization should be encouraged to give their opinion on various aspects while arriving at important decisions. Decisions made by a few at the top level will always create problems in its implementation. Last point is implementation of decisions. Once a decision is made, the executive and the subordinate should take all possible steps to implement it. Implementation of decision involves several steps, and the manager should handle it very carefully so that the problems can be tackled easily while implementing the decisions. So, we can study next decision tree. Decision tree is a graphical method for identifying alternative actions, estimating probabilities, and indicating the resulting expected payoff. It's a graphical form which visually helps the decision maker view his alternatives and outcomes. It is basically used to make decisions in complex situations, particularly when the outcome of a latter situation is dependent on outcome of the former. Decision trees are a model for solving any problem for the manager. So decision tree is very useful for every manager so that he can move from one uncertainty to another uncertainty by framing a decision tree, so that by this graphical method it will be very easy for him to visualize which is the best alternative and come to the correct decision. So this is the end of our module 2. And if you have any doubts, you comment in the chat box. Thank you.